Art One-on-One with Mr. Burgher.
Welcome to another episode of Art One-on-One. I am your pod boss, Nichole Jordan, alongside your professional artist and master educator, Mr. Burgher.
I'm here.
We are here.
And it's the end of the year.
Almost.
And, last week we attempted a couple of times to put something together, and we tried, and we had audio issues, and we had technical difficulties multiple times trying to do it live, and so we just said, heck with it.
Well, yeah, we recorded twice, once both live actually, but
both live, yeah.
One no audio and one just the audio just was horrible. Not working. And we had family here, and so we decided
had to go. We already had invested over an hour in trying to get this thing to go, and it was like, all right, we're done. Yeah. And so not that anybody's losing sleep over it, but that's what was going down. And so this week, I got my little book of facts, of Art 101 facts.
All right.
And we're just going to kind of run down the things that we did, the things that the viewers liked, and feedback is always great. And so This should be a little bit insightful as to what we do and how we think and the production that goes into all of the things that we do. And it's really interesting because this year we had 103,000 views, which is up by 108%. So,
wow. That's awesome.
That's really good. We had 3.2 thousand hours of people watching this, which is up by 69%. And we also had 1.2 thousand new subscribers this year, which is up by 135%. So we're getting a lot more people in than we ever have before, and that's really good.
It's exciting.
And I can say that, you're a part of that.
Awesome.
The pod boss is a part of that. And I always like to look at where people are coming from, just to kind of get an idea of where people are viewing from. And obviously the number one country, it's going to be no surprise.
The U.S.
The U.S. The top states that are watching, number 5, or cities, not states.
Okay. Cities.
Number 5, the top 5 cities. Number 5 is Houston, Texas.
Which was the same. That was the same.
Oh, the last time we looked, that was about the same.
Okay.
Number 4 was Dallas, Texas, which was also in the mix.
Yep.
Number 3 was Chicago, Illinois. Number 2 is Los Angeles, California. Number 1, New York City. So those are the top locations that are viewing Art 101. Thank you for watching, no matter what city or state you come from. Whether you were represented in that list or not, we appreciate you watching. Obviously, where you have a bigger group of people, you're going to get a bigger hub, even if, it used to, for years and years, it was always Des Moines, Iowa. Well, because that's where most of the people were watching from. And over the years, that has evolved to other states and cities and beyond that. I want to go in the other countries.
Okay.
So I'm going to start at the bottom.
Of the top 5?
Of the top 5.
Okay.
Number 5 was South Africa, with Cape Town, South Africa being the number 1 city in South Africa that's watching, and they knocked Germany out of the running. Last year it was Germany. This year it's South Africa. So Germany, come on, folks. Step up your game and get represented in the list. Number 4. For the second consecutive year is Canada. Toronto being the number 1 city in Canada that is viewing Art 101 with Mr. Burgher. Number 3 is the United Kingdom. They're down from number 2. They were number 2 last year. They've slipped down to number 3. And London is the top city in the UK that is watching. Number 2, up from number 3 last year, is India. India was number 3 last year. This year they bumped up to number 2. And Patna, Patna, I don't know how you'd spell Patna is the city that is number one for viewership in India, and I've already gone through them in the United States, which again was number one. So, a
Interesting.
really interesting list of folks and countries and things like that are watching. And if anybody has specific content, if I can say all those words, then just let us know, and we'll build stuff up for you. And we love hearing from you. I hear quite a bit. Like, I believe Moose Man
Yes.
is from the UK. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
so he's he's definitely one of those core members of the the abroad people that are getting involved. Last year there were I made 40 Art 101 works. This year I made 51 different Art 101 videos. So obviously we're making a few more this year. Last year I made 18 detail videos.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's abysmal. So this year I bumped it up. I made 42 detail videos.
Are those the shorter? So those are the longer videos.
Those are they're not the longest videos, but they're kind of the in-between videos. Then we had the shorts. Last year I made 98 short videos. This year I bumped that down to 70. But then this year we also added the podcast. So we made 35 different pieces of podcasts.
When did we start the podcast? Do you remember that?
35 weeks ago.
Is that what it was?
Minus a week.
Okay.
I don't know.
35 weeks
but
ago.
Yeah, we missed last week. So this will be the 36th podcast.
So 8 months ago? Is that right? You're not great at figuring out math.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, there's 4 weeks in a month.
Well, you're
4 into 36.
No, there's 52 weeks in a year.
Well, 4 times 8 is 30.
So 36 weeks ago, 37 weeks ago.
Got it.
Whatever that would be. So last year in 2022, I made 156 pieces of new content. This year, we made 198 new pieces of content. So we are up from last year by 42 new pieces of content, which is pretty exciting to me anyway, in that there are 542 pieces of unique content this year, and we're always adding more.
Right.
We've got pieces, I've got videos in the works talking about the artwork of Johannes Vermeer. We're talking about some artwork that was done by Peter Bruegel the Elder, which is a Renaissance artist. Vermeer was a Baroque artist. We're looking at contemporary artists like Deborah Butterfield in the coming year. And I did a poll of folks and said, hey, like what area of art would you like? Impressionism was the top thing. So I'm also making content on Bertha Morisot, one of the leading female impressionist painters, and I'll kind of get into some of those things as we go through the year. But those are things that are this year will be coming to the.
How far have you planned out so far? You're always you're always looking so far ahead.
I have a lot of the detail videos and short videos pretty well planned as far as what's going to go where. A lot of things are already in the queue to go in, so
right.
I don't miss a beat from this year to next year. And so we always have things going on. So even if something unforeseen happens to me tomorrow, you'll still have a year of stuff coming.
Yeah.
So you have that to look forward.
You like to plan ahead.
Even if I'm dead and gone, I will be coming to you from the grave, like Bob Marley and whoever else does that.
What is that movie? A Christmas
Carol.
A Christmas Carol.
Yes. So another thing that I like to do at my end of the year thing is talk about the number ones, the number one this, the number one that, the number one podcast that we did of the 36. Obviously, this is
which is 9 months. I know you're not, but in my head, I'm like,
who cares?
Well, I do. I was trying to figure out how. It doesn't seem like we've been doing it for 9 months.
Okay, but what do you think what do you think the best podcast we did this year was?
I have no clue. You ask me things like this, and I tell you every time, I don't remember details.
Okay, well, according to the people that viewed these videos, the number one most viewed podcast that we made was called Art at the Lake, which was the one.
So interesting because
which is very like fly at the seat of our pants, and a lot of people watched it. A lot of people watched that.
Interesting. It was the easiest one, and we were just relaxed and sitting on the beach and.
Yeah. The next thing is our short videos. The number one short video. What do you think that would be about? Like if you think of all the little short things that I made, what do you think the most viewed one was? And it's not even close. It's like not even close. This one blew everyone out of the water.
You've told me this, so I know what it is, but I can't remember. I don't remember what you said.
Obviously, you listened to what I said.
I know.
The number one short video. The number one short video that was produced this year was Performance Art Pee-wee, which was
you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, which was a little clip of how Pee-wee Herman was performance art.
And I had to listen to your story about Pee-wee Herman, and Pee-wee Herman laughed for like months after that, which was just brutal.
After Pee-wee Herman passed away,
I made glad everyone appreciated that.
Yeah, I made several pieces of content on Pee-wee Herman.
And
Performance Art Pee-wee was the number one short video of the year. The number one detailed video of the year was Neil deGrasse Tyson is Wrong, where I proved Neil deGrasse Tyson. He claimed that the tallest structure that humans built after the Great Pyramids was the Eiffel Tower, and that was wrong. So go back and watch that video again if you want to see how the smartest man on the earth was proven wrong by a guy that colors for a living.
Are you 100% sure of this information?
100%.
You're really putting yourself out there.
100%.
Okay.
When I know stuff, I know stuff. When I don't, I shut up. If I don't know stuff, I shut. Like, I'm not going to tell you, 35 weeks is 9 months. I don't know. I'm not going to just make that up.
That's 4 weeks in a month, so go figure.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the math.
Okay. It's a good thing you're an artist and not a mathematician.
I color for a living. Then it comes to the big enchilada. The Art 101 videos, the big videos that I put my blood, sweat, and tears to some degree into. I'm going to go through the top 5.
Okay.
Because these are kind of these are the reason that I'm in it. This is the reason that I do this, for the big videos. So. Do you like present or like making them the best too? I don't know. They're just
that really hurts my feelings if it's that over the podcast.
Well, I mean, it's it's a different thing. The podcast is just kind of like boom, boom, boom. Like we can crank those out like you're sitting here. But the Art 101s take more thought and process and research.
Yeah, those are the ones that like.
Number 5, Thomas Hart Benton, which I made in 2022. So sometimes these videos, it takes a while for them to pick up steam with people, and it kind of ebbs and flows. Like there are videos that, well, I'll just go into. It's
kind of like Pee-wee though, because it was a hot topic at the time because he passed away,
right?
And
so if something happens to an artist and people all of a sudden start researching it, then it takes off. Like number 4. The number 4 video of this year was Camila Pizarro, which is a video that I made in 2018. And for the past 2 years in a row, it was the number 1 video on my channel. This year, it dropped to number 4.
What's so interesting about...
People just watched the heck out of that video. People just love the Camila Pizarro content.
See, I'm going to have to go back and watch all these now, these top ones. Again, because I'm sure I've watched them already.
Well, and one thing you can do, as well as anybody that views, every month I update my top 11 videos. So there's a list, like the
playlist.
The playlist, right? Mm-hmm. And so I made a playlist that's the top 11 on Art 101.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
And so those the top 11 are always in there, ranked from number 1 to number 11. And Pizarro is always
Right up there.
in the mix of the top 11. But, anyway.
Okay.
Number 3, Victor Vasserly. And last year it was the number 2 video of the year. And so it's dropped to number 3. This year, the number 2 video of the year was number 3 last year. So if you're playing along, you already know that it's my Sailor Jerry
Yeah, I do
video
remember that. Okay.
on traditional style tattooing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've shared that with lots of people. Whenever I go in to get some work done, hey, I made a video. Oh, did you? Yeah, here you go.
We talked about it with our guy that did our last tattoo together.
And the guy that did my last tattoo before that last tattoo.
Yes. If
I had tattoos. And the number 1 video of this year is William de Kooning. It was a video that I made in 2022. I made it right at the end of the year last year. And it has continued to be very, very good. People have watched the heck out of that video. Last year, it ended the year as the number 5 video, and despite the fact that it was released really late. Lots of people watched it early, but then in this past year, it's continued to be viewed like crazy. So that's really interesting. But one of the things that I need my folks to do, this would be called a call to action. They say you're supposed to do this.
Yes.
They say in the podcast game, you're supposed to call the people to action, get them going on something.
We've talked about this.
And the call to action is, if you're not subscribed, and if you've made it this far, you need to do so.
Yes.
Because one of the things is, last year, 12.1% of the people that were watching my videos were subscribed to me, which meant that 87.9% were watching but not subscribing. This year, even though we've grown by huge numbers of people that are subscribing, 7.1% of the people watching are subscribers. That means that 92.9, let me say that a third time so it sinks in, 92.9% of the people watching are not subscribing.
See, and I can understand, there are videos that I constantly watch that come up in my feed, and I don't subscribe to them. Not because I don't want to, but one, because I don't have to, because they continuously come up in my feed.
Right.
And I just forget that detail. So that reminds me to go in and
make sure that you're telling make sure you tell, you're probably not subscribed.
I'm subscribed to ours. I'm talking about the people that I want to support other than our podcast. Because I don't think of that, because it just automatically, once you watch a couple, your feed just fills up with that.
That's true. That's true. I mean, there are people whose content just kind of comes to me because I watch that type of content. But again, it's important to support the creators by clicking the button. People say to ring the bell. I don't know. I don't ever do that. I don't know what that even means. There's a bell, then you hit the bell thing, and it whenever it pops up, it notifies you on your device or something. But I don't.
Oh, for notifications, yes.
And I don't
gosh.
And I don't do that.
That's too.
I don't want to know.
No.
I don't care that much about anybody's content, let alone my own. But at least subscribe and do that. I mean, do that much, and that's kind of what we got going. What are your thoughts? What is your reflection analysis as we think about the past year?
This is kind of negative, but so none that you made from this year are in the top 5.
Well, and that's because you have videos like, for example, the William de Kooning video that I made last year was compounding the views from that year to now. And so you look at, for example, that video was made in 2022.
Okay. What's the most recent one that's in the top 5? What year?
2022.
2022. Okay. So just a year old.
And 2 of those videos were made in 2022.
Okay.
So
you're doing well.
So Thomas Hart Benton, which was 2022. William de Kooning, which was made in 2022, are both in the top 5. The Sailor Jerry and the Victor Vasserly, those were both made in 2021, and Camille Pizarro was made in 2018.
So if you had to guess for next year, of the ones that you produced in 2023, which do you think could possibly take off and be in the top 5?
I think if I had to project a little bit, I think that there is some content that I've made. Like, I recently did a video on Grandma Moses. That was the Christmas episode. That's done very, very well. It didn't really, it hasn't really exploded, but it's taken off pretty good. I think that could be in the top 5. I think that if you look at some of the content that I've made this year, I can't guarantee it, but I would be surprised if some of the content that because it's really hard to make a video in the top at the end of the year and have it get over 5,000 for me, for this channel, to get over 5,000 views. Some of my content, that's been like the William de Kooning video. This week, it's had over 100 views, just this past week. So for somebody to have that kind of longevity or whatever, because it's doing well and there's an algorithm, so it's being pushed out more, so people are clicking on it more. Those things happen, and so I don't know. I think the Grandma Moses one could do very well, and sometimes it's also seasonal. So, for example, if you go back and you look at those top 11 videos of December, which is posted, in the top 11 videos is my Santa Claus video,
which we just watched,
which was in the top. That was, I think, number 11, and my Vincent van Gogh Christmas of 1888 video, which again is very topical. There a lot of the ones that are kind of focused on a certain season or whatever. If there's a movie that comes out, sometimes like my James Tissot video, that was the artist that influenced Indiana Jones. When the Indiana Jones movie came out, that one was very popular, and then after that kind of fizzled out, that kind of went away again. So there's lots of things that can change and shift those views. But if you just solid content like Pizarro, people want to know more about him. They don't know a lot, and so they watch the videos. The impressionist content, that's been very popular.
What was your favorite? Your favorite to come up with the content from this past year?
I don't know. Give me a second. Let me find my book. So one of the things that I do to answer your question is I have this little notebook, and I keep a list of a lot of the stuff that I do in there. And so I think that the Impressionist series that I did was really fun to put together. All 8 of those. That was a lot of fun. My video on Cézanne, I really enjoyed putting that together. I like the works that we did at the various museums, whether that was in Minneapolis or the Nelson Atkins. There are other places that I'd like to go and visit, do some more content like that. The Giacometti also came out of one of those visits, and there's lots of cool stuff like that went down. So I would say those are probably my top ones. Okay. So that's I think those would. Dwayne Henson was a good one.
Oh yeah.
When we were we started that one on a trip. I did a couple ones on Vincent van Gogh at the different, like the Beyond Van Gogh thing, and also Van Gogh and his influence in America.
We're hoping to do a little bit more traveling next year and get some more museums and art history places into the mix. And
adding the podcast and doing that every week is a fun little.
It is fun
exercise.
It was tough. I mean, even for me, like last week when we recorded 2 times, and then family was here and waiting, and we decided not to do it. It was hard for me to not want to stay a third time and get it done, because that was the first time that we had missed, and I kind of
ever.
even bothered me.
Yeah. Even bothered you.
Well, I mean, because it's not my podcast. I mean,
right, but it's
but I do look forward to it every time we do them. I look forward to them, and I learn something every time. And truth be told, like even it's become a topic of conversation between my family. Like at Christmas, if you remember, like we were all sitting around talking about different art history topics. There was just quite a mixture of things that we were talking about. So it is interesting how all of that has.
Well, it becomes a part of our everyday life, like when we're talking about travel, when we're talking about, going to art museums, where, as we're planning things to spend time with my kids and your kids and doing various things, it's okay. Well, maybe there's a way that we can integrate content into this.
Yeah.
And maybe there's not, and that's okay. But if there is, then we do, and if we can't, then we don't. But it's something that we consider and think about as we're making things. And as the year goes, it's always an evolution.
Right. Well, we're always looking.
Because somebody's always going to say, hey, could you make a video about this? Or could you do that? Or what do you think about this? I was just on another fellow artist's podcast. We recorded it this past week. And I said, hey, if you have artists in mind, or if people that are listening to your podcast have ideas for things that they would like, to me to do research on, then, and she said, well, have you ever done anything on Dada and Surrealism? I'm like, well, not specifically, just an in-depth look at those things. And so, that's an idea that just was thrown out or floated out this past week. And so you never know, that may come to something. And sometimes people say, hey, can you make a video about my Grandma Sue? And it's like, well, no, I probably won't do that. But
well, and every once in a while you'll get like an email from one of the art museums or different places that this is going on, and that creates content.
Right. And so, and there's always those things on their shows and retrospectives and exhibitions that are going on that we pop into, and that makes me want to make things. So.
I know it's my goal to become more educated about what's popular in art. Just to do the research and thinking.
The other side of that coin is also, I love making the content, but I also know that I need to make my art, and that's one of the things that I haven't done as much. I focused on the videos and focused on those things, and not so much as the art that I'm making. And so this year, I really want to focus on not just the video stuff, but also my own stuff. And so I might be sharing some of that content.
You say you want to do this. We've had this conversation.
It's hard.
And I even try to nudge you when you're sitting being bored and ask you why you don't. Yeah. Why you aren't doing that.
And it's
I think part of it is that we're so busy that when we do have a little bit of downtime, it's hard to, and the space, having the space and the tools and the.
Yeah. Well, and it's, it's a slowly progressing thing, and the comfortableness and all of those things. And I've been doing things with my students at school to try to encourage myself to make more art. So right now they're working on their final projects. And so I told them, you know what, you all have a final project. I also have a final project. So they're working on their final project. I also have a final project. So every period that they're working, my job is also to work.
What is your final project?
I'm doing a colored pencil drawing.
That's all the detail you're going to get.
That's all the detail you're going to get. You'll have to stay tuned to the channel, and you'll probably see some stuff pop up.
Okay.
So how about that?
I will be waiting. Because the last time you said this, where were we? I remember we were in Kansas City, and I remember you doing a sketch there.
I did videos. Well, and that was my goal last summer was to make 75 works or 70 works over the summer. And I think I got about 20 some in. And
life.
And then, and then it was Hank and Etta were here, and then, things were happening. And then once you get out of the swing, it's just like exercise. Once you get out of the swing of it, it's really hard to pick it back up. So it's better just to power through and keep it going.
It's a routine.
And yeah, it's too easy for me to break that sort of habit. Well, but I'm very much a binge type artist. I'm a binge type person when it comes to lots of things, you know. When it comes to video games, when it comes to making content, when it comes to making art, when it comes to eating food, when it comes to lots of things. There are times of the year that it's like, I'm going to do that. And that's what I do. And then I'm done with that. And then I stop until I decide to pick it up again.
We are kind of similar in that respect because that's how I operate a lot of times as well.
So
when I'm done, I'm done.
Well, Happy New Year. Partner in crime.
I am excited about next year. I'm a little bit tired right now, so I'm not showing that, but so I am excited for next year.
I'm excited about the content we're going to build and the podcast exploding with popularity. We'll see. See what happens.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So stay tuned for more content, and if you have ideas or suggestions, obviously float them at our way. This is a little bit different podcast than we've done in the past, so hopefully you got something out of it, and
a little bit of entertainment.
So
all right, well, thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.